There is an illness that afflicts many men, a craving to be approved of. They shuffle through life with dropped eyes and eager tongues, laying their bellies bare like strays, hoping for a pat. They make noise not to warn or to fight, but to be welcomed. They turn themselves into house pets, obedient, harmless, pitiable. This is the first death, the loss of self-rule. You are told that loyalty is a shining virtue. Often it is not. Often it is a collar. Offered cheaply, it makes a slave. Demanded without merit, it crowns a despot. Either way, the animal that submits pays the price. The hound, dressed up as a symbol of devotion, is in truth cultivated to submit. Its impulses are dulled. Its bite is trained not for hunting, but for guarding another's interest. What the world celebrates as loyalty is frequently the quiet surrender of sovereignty. The dog does not live for itself. It lives for the hand that fills its bowl. It eats by permission, is praised when useful, and punished when inconvenient. Its so-called nobility is merely dependency refined. Its heartbeat quickens for approval. Its spirit dims at a scowl, and rejection paralyzes it. That is not virtue. That is addiction. In politics and in private life alike, the man who imitates the lapdog, who chases praise, who coils at frowns, will never rise above the ankles of those around him. Leadership requires independence of mind, comfort with solitude, and the cold resolve to act without applause. The dog, trained to fear disapproval, can't imagine beyond the wishes of its master. It does not will, it waits. This is the earliest and subtlest death. Command over oneself is forfeited. A world of wolves and lions does not spare such men. Courts, marketplaces, boardrooms, alleys, these places swarm with polite predators who purr like cats and smile like saints. They do not bark, they do not beg, they do not announce themselves. They observe, they measure, they move when it suits them. The dog, desperate to be seen, gives everything away in a wag. Its hopes, its limits, its fear. Cunning eyes read it as an open book, and what is displayed is easily used. The tragedy is not merely loyalty, but illusion. The pet believes kindness will purchase safety, obedience will guarantee shelter, harmlessness will secure love forever. But love fades, conditions change, patrons grow weary, and when danger appears, the kennel empties. The dog is the first offered up, or the first abandoned. Years of domestication blunt its teeth. It cannot hunt, cannot fight, cannot live without the warmth of approval. At the gate, the dog is noisy, not dreadful. It warns, but rarely bites. It depends on others for the strike it cannot make. Thus, it is never feared. And to be without fear in others is to possess no weight in their decisions, for power rests not in how much you are adored, but in how dangerous you are thought to be. A man with a lapdog's heart will harvest pity, never reverence. Pity erects no nations, wins no contests, and averts no daggers. The exaltation of the dog's virtues, obedience, docility, cheerful service, is a catechism convenient to the rulers of the earth. They trumpet these virtues not because they live by them, but because they cripple those who do. The high do not dwell like pets. They teach others too. They grin as the dog guards their walls, fights their battles, and grows proud of its collar. Yet nobility without autonomy is another word for servitude. Consider how swiftly society turns on the dog. Bite once, even to defend, and you're branded a menace. Fail to obey and you're dropped. Question the hand that feeds and you're destroyed. The lesson is plain. Obedience is not rewarded. It is presumed. When it ends, the veneer of value evaporates. Servants who forget their assigned place are not coached. They are removed. The very attributes once called virtues become the evidence for your disposal. The dog is praised by the naive and used by the clever. Its loyalty is paraded as moral strength, its compliance misread as integrity, its eagerness dressed as honor. Strip away sentimentality, and you find a creature conditioned to crave approval, to shrink at the slightest displeasure, to exchange its instincts for strokes on the head. The animal was not born to serve, it was bent to serve. Affection makes the bondage feel gentle, so it is with men who model themselves after it. Choosing the pet's path, a man imagines safety in being agreeable, in yielding, in remaining non-threatening. He fears conflict more than humiliation, punishment more than mediocrity. He anticipates others' desires not from insight but from dread of being turned away, left alone, or labeled dangerous. His mouth is quick to apologize, his gaze always asking permission. He does not move until waved forward. He does not speak until invited. He lives under the fiction that harmlessness is the height of goodness, not recognizing that it is the straight road to obscurity. Such a man wears the collar of public opinion. He blooms in praise and collapses under criticism. A compliment inflates him. Watch who rises in councils and commerce. It is not the keenest to please. The eager are tolerated, then spent, then swept aside. The dog is allowed under the table to be silent, while others feast. When the plates are empty, a scrap is tossed to it, and it wags, as if blessed. It confuses proximity to power with actual power. When scarcity or war returns, or a stronger beast arrives, the pet is cast out without a backward glance. Affection is not necessity. Those who rule do not live like pets. Kings do not bow to subjects. Commanders do not beg for soldierly approval. Masters do not apologize to servants. Authority rests on distance, on discipline, and on the readiness to act without consent. The dog cannot carry the weight of isolation, disfavor, or quiet. It must be seen, praised, and told it belongs. This need is its cage. Worse, the pet cannot see the chain. It calls itself free because no one is striking it. It calls itself chosen because someone fills its dish. It calls itself loved because it is tolerated. Yet, the instant it disobeys, the truth stands up. The leash tightens, the gentle hand hardens, the warm voice chills. What binds the dog is not love, but fear, dressed up as loyalty. It has been trained to confuse acceptance with survival. It is not honored, it is conditioned. It complies not from conviction, but from forgetting how to choose. When the master is away and hunger or danger approaches, watch the dog. It paces, whimpers, waits. It cannot decide because it was never permitted to. Initiative was punished. Obedience was praised. It learned to distrust its own senses, to equate safety with surrender. In crisis, it fails. Frozen by fear or flailing in chaos, it has traded its claws for comfort and lost both. In the theater where power is performed, the face that rules is not the bare face, but the mask, and the strongest mask is the wolf. By wolf, do not imagine frenzy. Imagine controlled force, violence held in reserve, precision in the strike. The wolf is born not of madness, but of necessity. In an age where men devour one another with rules, rumors, and borrowed virtue, to walk openly as a beast is foolish, but to have no beast within is fatal. The wise do not discard the wolf, they keep it under the skin, quiet, patient, ever alert. The wolf does not look for approval, it does not pant for affection or wag to be seen. It moves with grave silence, wears its solitude like armor. To wear the wolf as a mask is not to forfeit your humanity, but to guard it. Display your whole nature under bright lights, and you make yourself a map for enemies. The wolf understands concealment as protection. It does not roar at threat. It waits, studies the ground, and bites when the outcome is certain. Fools strike from emotion, the wolf from assurance. Power depends not only on action, but on timing, and timing is the wolf's art. The wolf can wait. It is not hurried by panic or seduced by wishful thinking. It does not leap at the first bait. It circles the best. The craft of predation is learned in the stillness before the pounce. While others run toward the lure, the wolf scans the snares. It lives where others die, not because it is always strongest or fastest, but because it is patient, perceptive, and ready to do what the virtuous only lecture about. The wolf is not cruel. Cruelty belongs to the desperate. The wolf kills for need, not delight. It hoards no extra motion for revenge, drips no outrage. It is efficient. It knows fear shapes behavior more reliably than love, and that silence outranks pleading. Those who meet the wolf sense it, the certainty of consequence, without performance or threats. That is presence. That is power. The mask of the wolf teaches the value of duality. One need not move through life as an obvious beast, inviting needless battle. But one must always be capable of becoming the beast. The highest strength is the capacity to appear harmless while remaining dangerous. Sheep rest easy near a pet. They quake at the shadow of a wolf. A man who understands power offers kindness as courtesy, never as dependency. He speaks softly, knowing his quiet can cut. The man without the wolf is vulnerable. He over-explains. He tiptoes. He handcuffs himself to being nice. The wolf does not compete in a theater of opinions. It competes in outcomes. It does not debate its essence with the weaker. It acts, and its actions define it. That is a peculiar liberty, not liberty above others, but liberty from their judgment. To learn from the wolf is to learn the necessity of masks. The world does not reward those who exhibit every truth about themselves. It consumes them. The man who knows when to show his face and when to show his fangs becomes difficult to touch. He is not driven by impulse or by need for acceptance. He manages his appearance like a weapon, sheathed within reach. Loyalty is praised as if it were a crown set on the head of the upright. That story is sold by those who profit from obedience. Loyalty, at its most naive, is a chain cinched around the throat of the giver. It ties a person not to principle, but to depend. The loyal man calls himself noble. He believes devotion proves inner strength, but trace the results. What he calls strength is paralysis. He cannot act without clearance. He cannot change course even when his dedication is exploited. He cannot betray, even when betrayal is survival. He mistakes endurance for virtue and bleeds out on the altar of consistency. Those who prize loyalty above judgment are the first expended and the last defended. Rulers and opportunists understand the use of the loyal. They are predictable, governable, and unthreatening. They do not question, they do not deviate. They absorb punishment and keep serving. Their value is not in thinking, but in tolerating. When their utility ends, so does their shelter. The loyal who can no longer serve becomes a weight, and weights get dropped. Loyalty is valuable only when armed with leverage. To pledge yourself without terms is to hand over your life on credit with no collateral. The shrewd treat loyalty as a loan, not an offering, conditional, strategic, returnable. They speak the dialect of fidelity while thinking in calculus. They align where it profits them and withdraw when it endangers them. They do not confuse loyalty with morality. They accept that survival demands shifting alliances, altered masks, rerouted paths. This is not cowardice, it is adaptation. Demanding loyalty is often a confession of weakness. The strong do not beg for allegiance. They create conditions that make defection costly. Only the feeble drape themselves in the rhetoric of loyalty, hoping emotion will restrain what iron cannot. Only a fool pledges loyalty to someone who would not bleed as much for him in return. To be loyal to a man who will not risk what you risk is to mistake a collar for a crown. Worse than loyalty to men is loyalty to abstractions whose souls can't be checked. Ideals drift with the weather, crack under pressure, and are the favorite tools of manipulative hands. The man who clings to a cause long after it has hollowed out is like one who stays in a burning house because he likes the paint. Principle, like loyalty, must be examined often and put out with the trash if it costs your life for nothing. The ones who ascend toward power, wealth, or freedom do not do it by being loyal to everyone. They practice selective allegiance. Their vows are probationary. Their faith is reserved first for themselves. They form alliances, not marriages. They write deals, not scriptures. When the wind veers, they trim sail first. The world, for all its polished manners, obeys force. It does not lean for the meek. It angles for the dangerous. The man who whimpers when struck, who asks instead of taking, who whispers for mercy before he can inspire dread, he becomes a paving stone. This is not cruelty, it is architecture. Nature bows to demonstrated capacity, and capacity is shown not in pleas, not in tears, but in teeth held steady behind a closed mouth. If you would be secure, appear dangerous. Not noisy, not reckless, dangerous. There is a difference between sound and threat. Dogs bark to appear large. They bark because they are afraid. The wolf does not need fanfare. His stillness speaks louder than the desperate. This is the grammar of dominance. Say little, do much. Let silence carry your resolve. Look a man in the eye without blinking, without pleading, without rush, and he adjusts himself. The one who cannot be feared cannot be trusted with real responsibility. He may be liked or even admired, but men will not stake their safety on him. Rule is not granted for warmth. It is granted to those who can cut when cutting is required. A prince who cannot punish is furniture. A general who hesitates at retaliation is a coffin lid for his soldiers. A man who cannot say no with finality will be worn out by users. Calculated ferocity works faster than 100 nice gestures. Mercy is beautiful, but only in the hands of the strong. When the weak show mercy, it reads as helplessness, and helplessness is an invitation to be devoured. Predators do not negotiate with prey. They finish the matter. The man without fangs who recoils at conflict, who explains while threatened, writes himself into the prey role. Understand this, and you will understand movement in the world. Do not cry out when wounded. Do not justify yourself when challenged. Do not appeal to fairness. Fair is the bedtime story told by those with power to those without it. The world respects what you can take and keep. To deter domination, project the capacity to dominate. Do not brag. Do not yield. Train your face to reveal no panic. Your voice to carry no desperation. Your hands to hold steady even amid betrayal. Teeth are not only weapons, they are symbols. The partition between the powerful and the powerless is less about morality than about... There is no honor in martyring yourself to a principle if your enemies toast your fall. Learn to be iron under silk, soft in tone, deadly in deed. When you enter a room, it is better that others fear crossing you than fail to remember you were there. Whimpers vanish, fangs are recorded. The desire to be universally liked is the first shackle around the neck of the ambitious. It dulls instinct, slows action, and reorients decisions from necessity to optics. In doing so, a man surrenders his authority to the many whose applause he seeks. If you intend to climb, understand the true currency, not popularity, but clarity. Clarity requires choices that many will hate and a few will respect. Hatred is not proof of failure, it is a signal. It announces that you have ceased to be part of the furniture and have become a force. Power cannot exist without enemies. Power draws contrast the way light casts shadow. Divide lines create resentment. Resentment breeds hate. This is not a problem of power, it is the cost of it. Only those willing to pay it hold more than the illusion of control. The weak seek affection as a shield. They believe that if enough people like them, knives will turn away. They labor to keep everyone comfortable and call that safety. But safety rented from other people's contentment lasts only until you must pick yourself over their comfort. In that moment, you are alone. If you cannot endure the weather of solitude, you will buckle. The strong accept isolation as leadership's companion. They do not fear hatred, they choose which hatred is necessary. It is often better to be feared than loved when the two diverge. Love is temperamental, built on fantasies and expectations. It recedes at the first disappointment. Fear survives mistakes. It keeps men in line when they no longer agree. Coupled with respect, it becomes the foundation of stable authority. To accept being disliked is to be free of the courtroom of public opinion. You act on your own terms. You move without footnotes, punish without apology, speak when others swallow their words. You take what timid men won't touch. Those who are remembered, founders, rulers, revolutionaries, were spat on in their hour. Their peers slandered them. their enemies called them monsters. History does not inquire whether they were liked, it asks whether they prevailed. The man who must be liked by all becomes harmless, busy, softening words, serving both sides, avoiding offense. He dissolves. He forgets how to refuse. He becomes the instrument of others' will. He is clapped for as long as he is used. Decide what you want, the appearance of peace or the fact of progress. Real progress in governance, enterprise, and private life always costs someone comfort. You will be called cruel for being efficient, arrogant for declining to explain, heartless for cutting ties that no longer serve. Let the chorus sing. Their noise marks your ascent. They are not judges, just spectators nursing their cowardice. If no one hates you, you are following or standing still. Hatred is the storm one must wade if one intends to rise. It comes from below, those who want your place. From beside, those who resent your pace. From above, those who fear your reach. The man who stops walking because of wind never sees the view. The road to command is not paved with softness nor lined with applause. It is cut with decisive intent, hammered by discomfort and held by the refusal to be tamed. The world does not reward the harmless. It uses them, mutes them, forgets them. You cannot simply reject weakness. You must hunt it out of your own marrow and put it down. The pet, pliant, eager, delicate, must die so the wolf can rise. A creature that does not beg, does not whine, does not wait for consent. A creature that recognizes survival is not bestowed, it is seized. Let others find sanctity in surrender. If you dare, become what they prefer not to name, not for the joy of breaking, but for mastery, not to destroy at random, but to make yourself indestructible.